Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm starting in the name of Allah, Bismillah, and I'm saying to all of you, may peace be on you, stay at home, wash your hands with soap, and have a tawakkul with Allah. So my dear students, this is our second lesson, the title of conflict in the Middle East. We talked about the conflict in the Middle East in our previous lesson. In lesson 1 we talked about the countries that together are called the Middle East. That was the first point. The second point we talked about was what were the main reasons behind the conflict in the Middle East. We discussed almost around 4 reasons behind the conflict in the Middle East. And at the same time we also talked about the different wars, the dates of the different wars fought between Israel and at the same time the Arabs. The fourth point we discussed in our previous topic was about what was called the Balfour Declaration. The Balfour Declaration and the creation of the Israel in the lands of Palestine. And the last point we discussed in our previous topic was about the similarities between Arabs. We talked about 3 main similarities. So in our previous lesson, that were the more important topics. And today we are going to talk about lesson 2. So in lesson 2, inshallah, we shall be discussing about interference of Western nations in the Middle East. Why the Western countries are interfering in the Middle East? Why the Western countries are interfering Western in the Middle East? So interference is when you always do something in it. For example, when your country, other countries are in, they are trying to rule and take part in what's going on inside. So first you have to understand Britain and France have been involved in the Middle East for many years. So the main interference was historical for these 2 countries. They were staying in the Middle East for many years. For example, Egypt occupied France in 1882. That's the time they occupied Egypt. And then in 1922 they gave them semi-independent. They made them autonomous, not complete independence, but semi-independent. But pro-British king remained, who served for their interests. So in 1922, the British, they gave semi-independence to Britain. But the king that was ruling Egypt was pro-British, which means he was not against the British. He was supportive of Britain. Pro means support. He supported British. So he was just what we call a puppet. So he was just supporting British. The interest, he kept the interest of Britain. So again, Britain gave Iraq its own independence in 1932 and Jordan in 1946. And both of them were ruled by pro-British officials again. So Britain, whenever they give an independence when they gave independence to Iraq and at the same time to Jordan, they made sure their leaders, the leaders of these 2 countries, were not against Britain and were not against the interests of British. So the first reason why the Western nations interfered was because of historical. They have been involved for many years, and as you can see, it's there for the case of Britain. What about the French? The French gave independence to Syria and Lebanon in 1945, but they hoped to maintain some influence in the Middle East. They were in there for a while. So the first reason why the Western nations, European countries, always put their hands and their affairs in the Middle East was because of historical reason. But you should be able to explain that historical reason. And the second main reason can be, for example, summarized the following way. So now the Middle East held a very strategic position. You can see the mouse, okay? A strategic position in the world. So the Middle East, they are amazingly located, one of the geographically best strategic positions in the world. It connects the Western nations, the Russia and the Communist bloc and Eastern Europe at that time, up to now, Western nations, Russia and the Eastern European countries, Africa and Asia, the third world countries of Africa and Asia. So as you can see, it's connecting different continents together. That's why the Western countries interfered the affairs of the Middle East and the Arabs, because their land was amazingly located in the best places of the world. It was a crossroad. Especially look at the Suez Canal of Egypt, connecting many different parts together. And the other thing is what we call the black gold. Dear students, you might be familiar with the black gold. The black gold is the oil supplies of the Arabs. So there was a time the Arabs or the Middle East countries produced more than 1/3 of the world's oil supplies. That is more than 34% of the world's oil supply. And now they produce a lot. Almost 25 to 30% of the world's oil, still they produce it. So the other reason why they interfered was because of the oil supplies. And the last but not the least, why the Western countries were always, trying to be in the Middle East, and the affairs of the Middle East was lack of unity among Arabs. The Arab states at the beginning, they were united against Israel and the creation of Israel in the lands of Palestine. But later they became disunited, and that encouraged other countries, to take part. Okay, so other countries came, especially the Western countries. When countries in a region are not united, they are easy to be, interfered. So to summarize the first title of our lesson, what were the main reasons behind the Europeans or the Western nations to interfere the affairs of the Middle East? Number one, it was a historical reason. Britain and France had been involved in the Middle East many centuries, many years. And the second one is, as you can see from the screen, the Middle East, they located in an amazingly one of the best geographical places, connecting the world together. It was acting as a crossroads between the European countries, Russia and Eastern Europe, African countries, and at the same time Asia. So imagine a place that's connecting this, it is going to be interfering for sure. And the other reason is because of the black gold, the oil supplies. And the last one is because Arabs, they were not united later, and that encouraged other countries to interfere. Okay, so we'll go to our second topic today, that's Arab and Israeli wars. Arab and Israeli wars. So Arab-Israeli wars, as you can see, Arab-Israeli wars, since the UN partition plan was put into place, you have to remember, one, the Zionist organization of Israel, they wrote a letter to the Foreign Secretary of Britain, FORM4. Then Britain, they issued what was called the FORM4 Declaration, which was a support for a Jewish homeland in the lands of Palestine, which the Jewish, they claimed that their ancestors lived before thousands of years ago. So USA and Britain, they allowed every year almost 100,000 Jewish to be settled in the lands of Palestine. But from 1933, from the time of the FORM4 Declaration, the number automatically increased. And by 1948, they were majority in the lands of Palestine. They became major in there. And that's the time the UN started to announce, the recognition of Israel. So there have been several major wars and more intermittent battles. So there were some battles that were not major, but there were major wars that was fought between Arabs and Israel. And those wars, as you will see, they took place from 1948 up to almost 93. So we are talking about the first Arab-Israeli War. When did it take place? 1948 up to 1949. This one was the time that was created. Israel was announced and was created, and then was recognized. So 1948, 1949. That's the first war between Arab and Israeli war, who were fighting Israel in one place, supported by Britain, and USA and Europeans, and the other one were Palestinians who were not happy, Jordan, Egypt, and Saudi Arabia. Okay, what was the main cause of this war? Because of the UN partition plan. The United Nations first they did not interfere, but because Britain was saying, I'm gonna solve the problem of the Middle East, and Britain finally failed to solve that problem. So they left it alone and they demanded the UN to interfere. And the UN, they said the only solution was to create a state of Israel. So now when this was announced, the Arabs, they got very angry about that, and they started a war against Israel. So that war continued for a while, and finally what was the result? The result was Israel doubling in size. Imagine that. Israel was a country that was not very powerful by itself, but automatically they were getting financial and military support from Western countries, especially Britain and USA. So as a result of that war, Israel doubles in size. Palestine almost disappears. Okay, a lot of land was taken from Palestine. Divided Jerusalem. Jerusalem, Beitul Maqdis, which was at the beginning in the hands of the Palestinians, now should be divided between Israel and Jordan, because Palestine now became in the Jordan, in Egypt at that time. So now Jerusalem was divided among Israel and Jordan. And Jordan was the guardianship of Palestine. The other important result was the Palestinian refugees. The Palestinians, they fled to Gaza and West Bank. This is now where they live, most of them. Okay, so these were generally the results of the first Israeli and Arab War. It took place from 1948 to 1949. Israel and Palestine fought. Jordan, Egypt, and Saudi Arabia at the same time from the side of Palestinians. What was the main reason? The creation of the state Israel by the UN and British. And these were generally the results. Who was to blame for that war? Who was to blame for the war? For the war of 1948 to 1949, who was to blame? Who was responsible? Arabs and communists, they blamed Britain because of their Jewish support, because they supported the Jewish settlements and the creation of Jewish state in the lands of Palestine. So Arabs and communists, they blamed Britain for this problem because they were the one who started. That's what others also they blamed. Some historians, they blamed USA because of their support of Israeli creation. Israel to be created in the lands of Palestine was also supported by USA. So some historians, they put the blame on USA. Why? Because they supported that idea of Israel to be created on the lands of Palestine. The other third reason, behind who was to blame for the war was, some historians, they blame Palestine and Israel, because they say British, USA, and the UN were trying their best to establish two countries living side by side with peace. But it was them who were not willing to do that, and instead started the war. So other historians, they have blamed both Palestine and Israel. Why? They say they did not agree on two-state solution. And instead of agreeing, they started to fight Israel being supported by Western countries and Palestine being supported by the Arab countries. So now, as historians, they blame both of them. So who was to be blamed? And blame is when you put the problem on the head of someone. For example, somebody is doing some bad things in a class and the teacher, they can't see it. So they came in and they just imagined Warfa is doing the problem. So Warfa was to be blamed. So who was behind this problem? Sorry for that example, because you are a very good student. Who was to blame for the war? Because of what? Arabs and communists blamed Britain because of their Jewish support. Others blamed USA because of their support of Israel creation. Other historians have blamed both Palestine and Israel. Okay, so now let us go to the second Arab-Israeli war. This one was called Suez and Sinai War. That's what we can say, Suez or Sinai War. This took place in 1956. Generally, it is called the Suez Canal War. 1956. So now, who were fighting? Israel and Britain and France from one side, and the other side from Egypt. What were the main cause? So Jamal Abdel Nasser, he became the president of Egypt. And you remember the Suez Canal was in the hands of Britain and France, and Egypt was getting nothing, almost a very, very small percentage from the profits of the Suez Canal. So now Jamal Abdel Nasser, when he became the president, he nationalized the Suez Canal. Nationalization. So nationalization means when you bring the properties of the country under the control of the government, or under the control of the country. So he made the Suez Canal under the government and told Britain and France that they were not going to get the share they were getting. So Nasser, he takes control of the Suez Canal. They have been controlled by Britain and France, and before he became the president, the leaders of the kings and the leaders of Egypt, they were puppets for the Britain and France. They were not going to take they were not taking decision against these two. So now this guy was a brave president. He took the decision to nationalize the Suez Canal that had been under the control of Britain and France for many decades, for many years. Okay, so after that, this is what happens. Britain and France, they were very angry about that. Israel also, they wanted to take part this war because they did not want Egypt again to be attacking them. So they went to destroy and also conquer some land from Egypt. So the war takes place. It continues for a while. Egypt is bombarded. Hundreds of people die. They try to get rid of Jamal Abdel Nasser. They try to get rid of him to again bring the Suez Canal under themselves. But this is the result of the war. The fair thing is Egypt gets the Suez Canal. But before we talk about the result is, the problem of the war was solved by the UN and at the same time the USA. So United Nations, they issued to Britain and France to withdraw their army from Egypt because they conquered the Suez Canal and lands from Egypt. So they said this is against the violation against the United Nations resolution. So Britain and France, they should withdraw. The USA also did not provide help for Britain and France. They even encouraged that they should withdraw. Communist countries, they also said this is against it. And finally, under pressure from outside world, Britain and France, they withdrew and they took their army from Egypt. And then this where the result is. So Jamal Abdel Nasser, he gets the Suez Canal. Egypt gets the Suez Canal, and they blocked it. So no more ships were going there. The other one is UN troops moving to this land, Sinai. Sinai is the Egypt between Egypt and Israel border, and the other one is Straits of Tirana open to Israeli shipping. So this one was an advantage for Israel. That area called Tran, Israel ships they could use. And the other important thing is the war failed to get rid of Jamal Abdel Nasser. Imagine this. They wanted to get rid of Jamal Abdel Nasser, but they were unable to do that. So Jamal Abdel Nasser, he became a hero among Arabs. He was the one who got the Suez Canal from Britain and France. Okay, and the other important effect was the Algerians were encouraged in their struggle for complete independence against French, because the French, they did not give Algeria independence up now, so they were provided a lot of support. So now this is the second war, called Suez Canal War. Okay, so and now let us go to the third and the last one, third Arab-Israeli War. This one was called SixDay War. Why is it called SixDay War? Because it was going on only for 6 days. Only for 6 days. That's why it's called SixDay War. So the SixDay War, it took place from 1967. It took place 1967. Okay? So from June 5. This is the time it started, June 5. So it was going on up to the 11th of June. So we were fighting Israel on one side, Egypt, Jordan, and Iraq and Syria from the other side. But you have to understand there is a hidden support for the Israelis from, again I'm saying, and strengthening it. Israel were deeply supported by European countries, Britain, France, Italy, and at the same time USA. So Egypt, Jordan, imagine a country that was created for almost 20 years ago or 15 years ago cannot defeat those countries within 6 days. So now, what was the causes? First, Egypt closed the Straits of Tiran. You remember, the Strait of Tiran was open for Israeli shipping, and this was one of the results of that war. So now Egypt, they decided to close that Tiran, and this is, the Arabs. The main reason why Israel started the attack was because the Arab preparation was very long. Arabs were preparing for this war for a period of time, and the Egyptian, spies and intelligence, they sensed, they felt almost sure that Arabs were trying to attack Israel. The Mossad, they give news to the government quickly, information, and then before the Arabs started the attack, Israeli attacked Syria, Egypt, Jordan, and Iraq very quickly. They destroyed the airfields of Egypt, and they conquered a lot of land from the Arabs this war. Imagine 6 days Israel captured and conquered many lands from the Arabs. So one of the main reasons why the Arabs failed the 6-day war was because of their long preparation. They were preparing themselves for a long period of time. It took them to prepare a long, and Egypt and Israel, they took advantage of that war. So they threw the first big punch. Imagine if you are fighting with someone and you are talking all the time, hey, I'm gonna put you down, I'm gonna beat your ass down, I'm gonna beat you, and the other guy, he doesn't talk, he just gives you one hell big punch, and what will happen to you? You'll fall down. So the Egyptians were just like that, and the Syrian, the Arabs, they were talking, preparation, and Israel attack is easily, very quickly. So what were the results? Israel gets occupied territories. This is the territories and the lands Israel occupied. They occupied Gaza, they occupied the Sinai Peninsula, they occupied the Golan Heights. The Golan Heights are mountains as a buffer zone, okay? Buffer zone. So they also occupied the West Bank. This is where they occupied. Imagine. The other one was PLO. PLO were the Palestinian Liberation Organization, an organization that wanted to liberate Palestine from the Jewish occupation. It was under the leadership of Yasser Arafat. May Allah give him mercy, rahimahullah. So Palestinian Liberation Organization, they became stronger and prevalent everywhere in the lands of Palestine. The Arabs, they were bitter. They were angry about this. No negotiations, no recognition, and no peace. They got angry about that also. So now We will be stopping there, my dear students. Inshallah, your assignment now is oral assignment. You shall be reading these 3 wars. Okay, more. As a student, when a teacher gives you a note, you shouldn't stop there. Try to read more about it. Try to watch a video about the Israeli-Arab war. So in our lesson today, it was 3 topics, okay? So the first topic about the wars was, the first topic of today was the interference of the Middle East by Arabs. 4 reasons we explained it. Historical reasons, strategic position, oil, lack of unity. These were the 4 reasons why Arabs were interfering. And then the wars, the first Arab-Israeli war, it took place 1948-49 between Israel and the Arab countries. What was the cause? The UN partition plan to create Israel. What was the result? Israel doubling in size, Palestine almost disappearing their land, Jerusalem divided among Israel and Jordan, Palestinians refugees into Gaza and West Bank. The second war, who was to blame for the war? Arabs and communists, they blamed Britain and USA. Some historians, they blamed USA. Others, they blamed Palestine and Israel themselves who couldn't solve the problem. The second war was Suez Canal War, 1956. Israel, these three countries invaded Egypt. They wanted to get rid of Jamal Abdel Nasser and to break the Suez Canal under their control. What was the main reason? Jamal Abdel Nasser nationalized the Suez Canal, which was under the Egyptians, which was under the Britain and France for many decades. What was the result of the war? First thing is Egypt get Suez Canal and blocked it. UN troops, they moved into the land of Sinai as a peacekeeping forces. This Strait of Tiran became open for Israeli shipping. The war failed to overthrow Jamal Abdel Nasser and he became a hero among Arabs. And the Algerians were encouraged in their struggle for independence against the French colonization. The third Arab-Israeli war was called the SixDay War. It took place from 1967, June 5th up to 11th. Israel from one side helped by the Europeans and the other side from these 4 powerful Arab countries. So what was the cause? Egypt closed the Strait of Tiran, and then Israel, feeling that Arabs are preparing themselves, they threw the first punch and they defeated them. So they get a very big land, Gaza, Sinai, Golan Heights, West Bank. PLA became stronger. Arabs were angry about this. So that's all for today. Read more from these topics, and I'm wishing you very good luck. I'm again saying, stay at home. Don't bring disease for your family. You don't need to go downtown. You don't need. I know we are Muslims. Many of you may say, no, teacher, if Allah wrote for me, I will be sick. Yes, I know that. But there was a time a man asked the Prophet, peace be upon him, "O Prophet of Allah, I have a camel or a donkey," and he said, "Do I let it go and make a tawakkul to Allah, and I make my trust to Allah and I let it go?" And the Prophet, he told him, no, don't do that. First tie your livestock, camel or donkey to a tree. Tie it and then trust Allah. Okay, so now we are going to take the precautions. You don't have to go downtown, without something necessary. And this disease even can kill the young. Don't think it can't kill anybody. It can kill anybody. Okay, so please take care. And I'm saying to you again, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Make more effort. Make use of your time.